What's up, Gunpla fans? This is Joey Gunota coming at you with another video. This video is going to be very long. It's not for the faint of heart. And I promise you, though, towards the end, it does get into some pretty big updates, some Gunpla related whatnots. So let's just get started. The main reason I wanted to make this video, and I have tried to make this video like 12 times, and we'll see how it goes. I had been sick, still a little getting over like some bronchitis. I get it every year when the weather changes, and it's been flipping back and forth here in Illinois, so it's not going away the way it usually does. So and every time I make the video, I get into a big coughing fit. I'm going to really try not to do that this time, but we'll see. Where to begin? Coffee. Delicious coffee. Ooh, can you see that? Yeah. Alright. So a couple of other disclaimers before I really get into this. Number one, I'm going to talk about some sensitive subjects like death and depression. I'm going to talk about just life in general, what's been going on, and why I haven't posted videos in such a long time that I would consider actual content. And if you are adverse to strong language, there might be some of that in this video, and I don't collect ad revenue anyway on my videos. My AdSense account was suspended years and years ago when I had a Blogspot blogger thing, and my fiance at the time decided she would go through every day and click on all my ads because she didn't have anything else to do, and she'd just keep clicking on them. And when I found out about that, I was like, you're going to get my account suspended. And then, like, that evening I got an email for suspicious activity and the account was suspended. I couldn't get it appealed. I don't care anymore. Whatever. One last thing. Yeah, I'm going to smoke a cigarette or two during this talk because it's my very unhealthy coping mechanism for stress. And I don't care. You can leave a comment and say, you're being unhealthy, Joey. And whatever. I don't care. Or the only thing that I will accept as a reasonable explanation or a reasonable comment as to why I shouldn't be smoking is because this is my Gundam room, and you're getting nicotine stains on the white plastic, which is why I don't smoke in this room hardly ever, but whatever. Anyway, so let's talk. Where have I been? What's been going on? Let's start at the beginning. Let's start where I left off. The last time I released a video of any significant, content-wise, any significant content, was the Fossil Friday Master Grade Goof version 1.0 video. That was December of 2015. It didn't light. It was lit. Got a fan over here blowing stuff out. Anyway, so yeah, December of 2015 was when I uploaded a video that I would consider content worthy. I did keep the Therapy Thursday videos going for a little bit longer because I had some stock footage, or not stock footage, backlogged footage. And I kept that going for a bit. Then I got really busy. because I was working retail, and I got sick because I get sick in the winter. That's just what happens. That's what my lungs do, and it's not from smoking. I've been getting that way since I've had chronic bronchitis since I was 4. So yeah, I really shouldn't be smoking. I don't care. Anyway, so the holidays and just work and life and whatever kept me from getting videos done. And then in January of 2016, I was in talks with my employer at the time to get into management, and I worked at a Super Kmart. At the time, it was one of 6 Super Kmarts left in the country, and the weird thing is, it was actually one of the best performing stores for the market that it was in. But end of January, early February, Myers, another big box chain store here in America, I don't know if you've got them in your area, wherever you're at, came to the village of where I live and said they wanted to buy the land that the Kmart was on. So the township, village, whatever you want to call it, owned the land. Kmart owned the building. The village sold the land to Myers and basically forced Kmart out of the market. So they announced they were closing the store. So obviously management was not in the cards anymore, because I wasn't going to drive 60 miles to work at another store that ended up closing just a few months later anyway. So that, it was a blessing in disguise is what it was, because I hate working retail. And I had worked retail for 10 years at that point, and I never want to do it again. And if you've never worked a retail job, you deal with a lot of really crappy people that don't work there. A lot of the customer is your boss, and you have to be nice to your boss even when they're really crappy to you. And it's like that in any customer service position. I just think retail's worse than, say, like fast food, because it's the same stuff every week. You get your regular customers if you work fast food, but in retail, not only do you have your regular customers, but just some of the work involved, and they're always short-staffed, because they're, cost cutting or whatever. And I mean, I was working multiple departments. It's just the way it was. And it was like that in any retail shop I've ever worked. So that's just how it goes. But anyway, they announced they're going to close the store, and I told them I'd stay until it was done. So from beginning of February 2016 through May of 2016, stayed on to help close the store. Honestly, it was kind of a fun experience. It really brought the crew together more than I thought it would, because you have all these people who've been there for like 20 plus years, along with everyone else who's been there, 10, 5, even just a few months, and you kind of just really bond over the fact that everyone's losing their job. So, I mean, take that for what it is. I had some good times. Made a lot of good friends working at Kmart, many of which I still talk to. When the store was closing, it was kind of nice because you could basically work whatever hours you wanted. They were not concerned. Oops, wrong way. They were not concerned so much with. There we go. They weren't concerned so much with labor costs because they were closing the store anyway. So you kind of just come and go as you please. You want to work a few extra hours one week, go for it. You want to, skip out on a few hours one week, go for it. So that was kind of cool. As we were getting stuff in from other stores in the area, like overstock items, clearance items, just because it was all being liquidated anyway. So the management staff would, during the day, would get on the intercom and they'd make fun little announcements like, you know, this item is this % off, come find it here, we've got a ton of it. And I noticed that in the evenings when I worked, predominantly when I worked in the evenings, my hair is doing a thing, I don't care, okay. The management kind of stopped doing it in the evenings, so I decided I'm going to get on the intercom, I'm going to do it. And my first one, which, I mean, kept everyone laughing for, like, days. I got on there and I was like, attention Kmart shoppers, do you or a loved one have feet? Well, come on down to the center of the store. We've got shoes, boots, and sandals on sale, 50% off. Come get them while they're hot. These boots are made for walking. You know, just stupid stuff like that. And store manager got caught wind of what I was doing, let me come in and record about 20 or so pre-recorded messages for sale items. They played for a few weeks. That was a blast, because I came in on my day off and got paid to basically do, like, advertisement recordings. It was good. I really enjoyed that. Anyway, so the store closes in May. I took about a month off. My hair's bothering me. I apologize. And my camera's not set to mirror. Anyway. Took about a month to just kind of recuperate. I didn't have anything going on, like, bill-wise, because I was still living with my parents at the time. So I wasn't in desperate need of any money. And then I applied for one job. I had one interview, and I got it. And now I work for a health insurance company that I love. I love the job. As much as I fucking hate the healthcare industry as a whole, I don't place blame on any one aspect. I don't place blame on providers. I don't place blame on government regulation, and I don't place blame on insurance companies, because I think it's a combination of what all three are doing. And in a lot of ways, you know, the consumer is also part of the big picture as well. So I don't want to get political on this video or this channel, but I think everyone can agree that healthcare in this country needs reform. I think that's fair to say. Everyone thinks that the system we currently have is imperfect. Okay. And I won't say what way I lean on that, because I don't need to. But the company I work for really cares about its clients, the companies that they work with to provide health insurance to employees. It really cares about the members, the employees themselves that are using the insurance, and it even goes so far as to put public information out there about health opportunities. Just even if you don't have insurance with my company, we try and provide resources for people to get healthy, and lower their costs overall for healthcare. Because a healthier person obviously spends less money on healthcare. And the other thing is, my company treats its employees like people. And it's really the first experience I've ever had where a company genuinely cares about its employees. Right from the get-go, we had vacation time. Right from the get-go, we were salaried. The compensation and benefits packages are phenomenal. I really love my job. I can see myself staying there indefinitely. I mean, I don't know if this is the career I want, but right now it's a great job, and I could see myself retiring from this company. If that's something I end up doing, and I wouldn't regret it. My dream job has always been to open up a hobby shop, but I mean, it's such a niche market. Even if I expanded, beyond Gundam and Gunpla, obviously I would do that. It's still one of those things. It's like you set up a small shop, and if you're not in the right town or the right area of town, you won't. It's hard to be successful. Not impossible, just difficult. And currently, I don't feel I have enough know-how to be successful. That's why I haven't done it yet. Anyway, back to my job. What I started out doing was we had 20 weeks of paid training. 20 weeks, 5 months of paid training. Started in July last year. And the first portion of it was the actual medical insurance, with a little bit of information on like the dental coverage, and other aspects of like pharmacy and vision and things like that. That was the first part of training. The last part of training was what we would actually end up doing, which is learning about all the different websites that the company uses for interacting with end consumers, the companies and clients that we are contracted with to get the insurance to employees, provider portals, things like that. So what we ended up doing was basically we help navigate websites, we do password resets. We're essentially tech support, but we also have that base knowledge of the actual insurance, so that when people call in and they say, my password's not working for this website or that website, can you help me get in? And of course, we help them get into the website and access their information for them, and then we can also answer questions about coverages or procedures, the whole thing. So I thought it was really great to be part of a team that, for the most part, we could be a one-stop shop for our customers and clients and providers. We could not only, they call in with an initial question about the website, but then it turns into questions about the insurance side of it, and we could answer those questions. We didn't have to transfer people all over the place, because, and I'm sure a lot of you have called into a company with one question, it turns into another topic, and they're like, that's not my department, let me get you over to and you're transferred around 3 or 4 times, and it's a major pain in the ass. It's not fun for anyone, and it's very frustrating for the customers. So I like that we were trained on both sides of it, so we could just help our customer in one go. And it's been great. So when you're on the phones in the call center, you are also in a chat room with the rest of your team and the leads. The leads monitor the chat rooms, answer questions, help get resources as you need them, and then they also take supervisor calls. So about 9 months into the job, I was actually promoted to a lead, and I did that up until about a month ago, and now I've been promoted to a new. It's not experimental, but it's new this year. A new position. Essentially, instead of calling in, customers can log into our customer website and use a chat-based feature for any question they have. So now, not only do I have, I went through a month of training, given a bunch more resources, access to a bunch more things, and now instead of just being, tech support and the medical insurance, I also help provide answers to questions about pharmacy, dental, vision, and pretty much anything a customer needs to know. Now I have that knowledge base of basically everything a customer service rep would need. So it's challenging, but also very rewarding to know that now a customer, they don't even need to call in. They can just shoot us a text message, and we can answer their questions. And that's just, I don't know. Normally, going into a position where you have a lot more work to do, because you really do have a lot more work to do in a position like this, normally it would be frustrating. And in a retail environment, when you start out working these, let's say, sporting goods or toys departments, but then they also expect you to help out with automotive, hardware, electronics, lawn and garden, housewares, things like that. And they just keep adding on all these responsibilities in a retail environment, and they're not compensating you for it. It gets really frustrating because you can't keep up with all the work, and you're not getting paid to keep up with all the work. But when I got promoted to this chat service, I got a raise. And I was already making enough money to support my own apartment and my lifestyle, have money to go out, have money to save for emergencies, have money to save for the future. I have a 401k. My apartment's big enough that I have 2 bedrooms. So one is my Gundam room. It's been, the job is just, it's everything I've needed for a long time. And that really helped me. It really helped me heal myself mentally. So I've been busy with work, obviously, throwing myself into the job because it's a good job. The other part about that I really like is it's not always go 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 go. And a lot of it, because it's mostly thinking and working on a computer, I have the opportunity, while I'm either taking a call and listening to someone, or between calls, between chats, waiting for someone to type out a rather long question or scenario. I have the opportunity to do things, just things. So we have folks in the office that will do crochet. We have folks that work on coloring books or find a words, and I build Gundam models at my desk. And it's been a really great environment for me personally to build real grade kits, because I hated building real grades until I started doing it at work. It's just all those tiny parts. It's monotonous. And when I build a high grade or a master grade or a no grade kit, I can sit at the desk, work for a few hours, and there's a really easy, gentle flow to the process. But with real grades, because they're so complex and they're tiny and fiddly and there's tons of markings, it gets to be too much to just sit there and do. So at work, if I'm working on a real grade for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then I take a chat or a call, and I do that, and then I come back to the kit for another couple minutes, do a little thing here. So it breaks it up between the work and building the real grade kit. It just, I don't know, it broke up the monotony of working on real grades. So that's what I've been doing. I built the Wing EW, the Exia, the 00 Riser, and the Quanta, all at my desk at work. If you follow me on Twitter, you've already seen a lot of that. I posted in a few Facebook groups with some progress on some of those kits. And yeah, it's been a real treat. I do work Saturdays. I work Tuesday through Saturday. I have a set schedule. Saturdays are slow enough that if I really concentrate during downtime, I can get, a whole master grade done in a day, in an 8-hour day. So it's pretty nice. I mean, I do it. I work, on the kit during my breaks and lunch as well. So that adds a lot more oomph to the time that I have to work on them. So, yeah, it's been a really great experience so far. It's weird to look forward to going to work. I haven't had a job like that in a really, really long time. So, obviously I've been busy with work, throwing myself into it. So I haven't really had time for Gundam and Gunpla outside of work, which is weird to say, except for I do have, every once in a while, about every other week or so, I have my friend Matt over, and we're working on Perfect Grade Unicorn kits. I've got the Final Battle version, he's got the Banshee Norn, and that's going pretty good. Now, I've also been spending a lot of time with my family this year. Now that I have my own place, it's really nice to be able to invite them over instead of, coming out of my room at like 6 in the evening, asking my mom what she's making for dinner. So it's been a really nice role reversal where on the weekends, on Sundays, I can invite my family over and I can make dinner for them and kind of take the burden off my mom and dad to make a meal and feed my sister and themselves. So that's been very rewarding to be able to do that for my family, because I absolutely adore my mom and dad. They've taken care of me a lot more than they should have. Earlier this year, my dad suffered from an aortic dissection, which is basically the aorta behind his heart ruptured. Thank God my younger brother, who had just gotten out of the military, and he took my place at their house for a few months while he was setting up for college and going on to do that. Thank God, if you believe in God, or whatever, thank goodness, he was with my dad when it happened. He was rushed to the emergency room. They didn't know what had happened. They ran test after test, scan after scan, to try and figure it out. And when they did, they airlifted him to a special hospital up in the Chicago area. And he died 4 times. They were able to bring him back, and they operated on him all night. It was a 9-hour operation with his chest open. But they saved him. My dad has worked so hard his entire life, because that's just the kind of person he is. If he wasn't working, he felt worthless. And after this operation, he was in a medically induced coma for a couple weeks. He was in extensive physical therapy. He lost a lot of blood because he was on blood thinners already, and when that aorta burst, it was just everywhere, inside and it was a bad situation. I'll just leave it at that. It was a bad situation. So yeah, he's still kind of in the recovery phase, and it's one of those things that'll take a long time for him to ever really get back to where he was, and he might not ever. I mean, that's just a fact we have to face as a family. He's not able to work. It's too stressful, which sucks because that's all he knows to do is to work. It's so weird because that happened 1 week to the day after he helped me move. And because of the loss of blood and the deprivation in his brain, he actually lost 2 weeks worth of memories. Plus, he was in a coma for a week and a half, 2 weeks. So it's like a whole month of time that he has no recollection of. And he woke up from the coma, and Mom was standing over him, and he was asking questions about what had happened because he didn't know. He had no idea. And Mom's catching him up on things. She goes, and Joe moved out. And my dad's like, he moved out? What do you mean he moved out? Because to him, it was like early January still, and I hadn't moved out yet. It's weird. So, a few weeks after he had gotten out of the hospital and into physical therapy and everything, I was having them over for dinner, and he's sitting at my table, and I have a huge, huge dining table. It could seat 14 people, pretty comfortably, if you're not as big as I am. And that's where Matt and I work on our perfect grades, because it's big enough we can sprawl out all the runners. And he's sitting at the table, and one of the extenders, the leaves, they call them, it's got a huge scratch all across it. And he's looking at it, he goes, how did this scratch get here? Because he was there when I bought the table from some people in our neighborhood. And he helped me put it in storage until I moved out. He goes, how'd this scratch get here? I thought we covered it with a blanket and everything. And I was like, yeah, you did that when you moved it upstairs for me, when you brought it into my apartment. And you said you were going to fix it. And then everything happened. He goes, I did that? And it's like, it's so weird that he doesn't remember things. Those memories are just gone. But he's alive. And he's able to function for the most part. He can walk. He hasn't lost any like motor skills or anything, which is great. But it's just he can't do what he used to do, which weighs on him so much, and he's depressed over it because he's always worked. But he is alive, and we're so thankful for that as a family. So that's been going on, and that's been taking up a lot of time, because when you almost lose a close family member, you really take stock of life, and you want to appreciate as much time as you have with them while you still have them. You don't really realize that your parents are mortal, until later when something like this happens. You grow up, and as a kid, that's your dad. They're perfect. They're amazing. They're immortal. They can do anything. They're your hero. If you're lucky enough to have a great father like I did. I know not everyone has that luxury. But I mean, that's the way I grew up. My dad was Superman, and now, as time goes on and you realize what life really is and how life really works, and then something like this happens, you realize, oh, fuck. He's not Superman. He's a living, breathing, shitting human being. And humans are very fragile creatures, as any comic book villain will tell you. So, so I've been spending a lot more time with the family. And that's kept me from doing, the extracurriculars like making videos. And that's important to me. And I know I only have like 400 some odd subscribers. I'm not worried about disappointing a bunch of people that I'm not putting out videos. If I had gotten into the thousands, I'd probably feel worse. But such is life. Things happen. What else? Oh, I forgot to say, during that 20 weeks of training in my job, in October, I thought I had gotten the flu. And I called off one day, which I felt terrible because it was training and I needed to be there. It went out again. So I called off and thinking it was a Monday, so I was like, I got sick Sunday evening. I'll be good by Tuesday. So I called off that Monday, wake up on Tuesday, and I feel worse. So I called off again. I'm like, I will go back to work tomorrow. I have to go back to work tomorrow on that Wednesday. Wednesday rolls around, and I had to call off again. So my boss calls me, and she says, you can't keep calling off like this. What I want you to do is, go to a doctor, apply for a leave of absence, a medical leave of absence, like short-term disability, and just come back when you're better. And I said, okay. And that day, I did that, and one of my really close friends forced me to go to an urgent care because I wasn't getting better. And I had woken up Wednesday with what I thought was a heat rash all across my torso. I got a big torso, so this was a really big heat rash, or so I thought. So I get to the urgent care, and I'm sweating profusely. I'm running a high-grade fever. And I'm achy, and I can't, I really just thought it was the flu. I was sick to my stomach. Doctor takes one look at me and says, this isn't the flu. You need to get to the emergency room right now. So I went to the emergency room. This was late October of 2016. Go to the emergency room, and they admit me into a room because they had found out I had cellulitis. And it had gotten so bad that had I not gone when I did, I probably would have died. It was like 2 days away from being like in my organs and everything. And so I was on IV pumps of 2 very strong antibiotics for like 8 days in the hospital. Which, I started feeling better almost right away, which was great. While I was there, I was able to do some Gunpla building, and I got this guy done in the hospital. I was out of work for a month total, and that was 4 or 5 weeks of training that I missed out on, and it sucked. But yeah, and you know what's really weird is how many people go into a hospital and and during their downtime, they build a model kit. Every nurse on the floor came in to check the progress on my grays. I haven't watched Iron Blooded Orphans, so I'm not sure how it's pronounced. The Schwabble, the Schwabable grays, the blue one for space with thrusters on the knees. Schwabble grays, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so, I got that done. So, needless to say, for the last couple of years, because it's been almost 2 years since I'm putting out any real content on my YouTube channel, life has been a fucking trip, to say the least. Lost my job, got a job, almost died, got promoted, dad almost died, moved out, life, right? So that's where it is. That's where I'm at. So let's talk about Gundam and Gunpla, which, as you can see behind me, and all around me, just trying to get a decent shot of everything. Obviously, Gunpla is a humongous part of my life. I've been building kits for 17, 18 years now. And it is obviously very important to me. Now, it was about 2011. It's about 6-7 years ago now that I was... Okay, going off topic of Gunpla for a moment, I was depressed. I became deeply, deeply depressed. Suicidal. Not just thinking about it, but attempting it a few times over the last few years. And I spent a good long while depressed. It was a culmination of a lot of things that led to it, and it started out, I was just down, and then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I spent 3 years depressed and suicidal before actually seeking medical help for it, which, looking back on it now, the only reason why I actually went to get help was because the same friend who made me go to urgent care and save my life was the same person who urged me to go and get medical help for my depression. And I just think to myself, had I done it sooner, how different would my life have been? Because that depression was... it was a major contributing factor for why me and my ex-fiancée broke up. It was a major contributing factor for why it took me so long to get back to and to finish college. It was a major contributing factor for why I stayed in crappy jobs when I could have easily gone on and gotten something easier, or something better paying. So I went on medication for a while, and it nullified everything. It didn't make me happy, but it kept me from being suicidal. I still had the thoughts, all the sadness and darkness in my heart and in my soul and in my mind, just, it's there. It was constantly there. And the medication didn't make those thoughts go away. It just made the emotional impact less intense. And that was it. And it did allow me to put more energy into the emotional aspect of depression, but into the logic behind it and why I felt the way I did and what I needed to change. And it would be a long time before I had the opportunity to make those changes. During the depressive episode was when I decided I needed something to fill the void. And I'm really fortunate in that I was raised to know you can't turn to things like drugs and alcohol to fix yourself. But I was raised in an environment where consumerism helped you feel better. People in my family who had, similar mental health issues, they turned to collecting things. And that's what I did. I came up with a goal that I wanted to collect every single normal release Gunpla ever made. And that was my goal for 5 years. And when you get into a buying habit like that, to keep up with the buying habit, you have to work. And when you work that much, but you're buying that much, you don't have time to work on those kits. And so the backlog just builds and grows and becomes unmanageable. I have a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, that catalogs a good majority of my collection, but I stopped keeping up with it a couple years ago. And I've not stopped purchasing. So I have a backlog of about 450-ish models. I've built about 400. I couldn't tell you everything I have right now because I haven't been cataloging it as I get it in, and as I finish it, etc., etc. So, logically, I know my mental health contributed a great deal to my obsession with collecting these kits. Flash forward to just this year, probably about around July, I took my first ever solo road trip to go see some friends that I met via Facebook. And we had been friends for years, and we met in person briefly at ASIN, Anime Central in Chicago, a few years back. And it just so happened that we all had time off from work around the same time, and they invited me out to go see them. One state over. It's about a 4-hour trip, and I jumped on it because they're just great people. And I want to give a shout out to my very good friend Dustin. If you follow him on Twitter or Facebook or his blog, he's Ozkai or Studio Ozkai. He is an amazing artist. His wonderful wife, Sarah, she has her own craft business called Kane's Love. She does a lot of cross-stitch. Her little Pokemon cross-stitches are adorable, incredibly accurate for needle and thread work. Just It's they are two of the most talented people I know, and they have amazing hearts and souls. I love them like family, and when they invited me out to go visit with them for a few days, I jumped at the chance. And that road trip, going by myself in my own car, the week of my birthday, leaving my own apartment, it was the most freeing experience I'd ever had, because I had been on road trips before with family, and I don't know, I didn't have confidence in myself to do that, to navigate my way to an unknown part of the country, even though it's only one state over. I didn't have the confidence to do that kind of stuff, and it was such a remarkable and pleasant experience to be on the open road by myself, going to see some of the best people I know, spending, days with them, exchanging, because we all love to cook. Well, two of us love to cook. We all love to eat. And we exchanged recipes. We were cooking every day. We went and explored Indianapolis, the city. It was just, and then the return trip was just as enjoyable. I love driving. Got to see a lot of corn and soy fields, because that's all the Midwest in America has. But it was just a really good experience, and something in my head clicked that I'm doing it. I lived most of my life thinking I needed someone or something important, that I wasn't good enough by myself. And a lot of my depression and self-confidence issues stemmed from that. So, knowing now, I don't know what it was. Something in my head just clicked. And if I ever figure out what exactly changed, I would bottle it up and give it away for free. Because going from every day wanting to kill yourself, to every day waking up and saying, I want to live, is the weirdest feeling. And it's so weird. I did it without medication. I was on the medication for a little bit. My insurance changed when I got the new job. I went and saw a new doctor, and he changed my medication to something that wasn't covered on my plan because it was brand new. So it was still really expensive. And I just stopped taking the medication last year because I couldn't afford it. And so I went back to being depressed and feeling lonely all the time and wanting to die. But as I was doing really well at my new job, and I moved out of my parents' place, and I could afford to live all on my own. And then I took that road trip all on my own, and then met in person for the second time, but hung out for an extensive period of time with two really amazing people, and then the road trip back all on my own. It was a huge confidence booster. And one day I just woke up and I was like happy. And that feeling hasn't gone away. I still have days where I come home to an empty apartment and I think to myself, kind of lonely. But now it's like, where I used to just sit and dwell on that, because my brain chemistry has changed, I remember, oh wait, I have like 1 billion friends that at the drop of a hat would come over and hang out with me, or I can go and hang out with them, or we can go out somewhere and have dinner, or we can go have a drink, or we can go see a movie. And it's, I don't know, I wish I knew. I really wish I knew how it switched. I wish I knew what happened. I wish I knew what the exact trigger was, because I would share that secret with everyone I know. There are so many people who suffer from depression and anxiety in my life and in the world, and it sucks. It really sucks. And it's really weird, because I can remember the dark paths from, I'm down to I want to die. I remember those thought processes. I remember the feelings. I remember wanting to cry, but not, because it was useless, and I wouldn't feel better. I remember sitting at my hobby desk with a knife in hand, wanting to just slash every vein I could find and kill myself. I remember wanting to just, drive into oncoming traffic. But now, having gotten past all that depressive brain chemistry, even when I think about that darkness, even when I recall why I had that darkness in my head, I can't feel depressed. I can't get that sad anymore. Not for those reasons. I mean, had my dad died permanently, that was, before I had clicked over to being happy again, I don't know that I'd be, I don't know that I would have recovered when I did. And I know that, knock on wood, when he does die, because everyone dies, I do know that it'll impact me in a big way, but I don't think I'll be as depressed as I ever was before. It's really strange. I don't watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged, but one of the guys from Team 4 Star, I think his YouTube handle is Little Kuribo. I think his name is Mark. Could be wrong. He has a YouTube series on his channel called We're Still Here, where he talks about his journey with depression. Right now, it's a little over 100 episodes. And if you suffer from depression or anxiety or both, watch those videos. It's comforting to know that people understand. People get what you're going through. And he gets down to the nitty gritty in some of those videos. Like, he hits hard. But they're great. They're really good, helpful videos. And if you're not getting professional help, or you've never had professional help, I really suggest trying to, really. You don't have to go to the drug route. You can go just talking to someone, talking to a professional who can help guide you to living healthier and happier. You know, get help. But so, all right, back on track because this is an hour-long video now. So that depression that I had for so long was the major contributor to why I felt like I had to buy all these kits. So what am I getting at? What I'm getting at is I'm a lot happier. And I don't feel like I have to fill the void with plastic. Which is great and weird for me. Really weird. New kits get announced all the time. Even P-Bandai kits, and I think, cool. Maybe someday. Not, I have to have it. I have to have it right now. So, I'm not getting out of the hobby by any means. And I'm not selling anything, because I know anytime someone has a video like this, or they talk about stuff like this, and they have a backlog like mine, someone's like, hey, buddy, I'll take some of those kits off your hands. And I'm not selling anything, so don't ask. Unless you're asking, like, ironically, because you got to this part of the video, and you're like, I'm going to make a joke and ask him for kits, because that's, I mean, your sense of humor, and that's fine. But no, I'm not selling anything. What I am going to do, though, is, starting in 2018, I am severely limiting my purchasing, to just, like, 5 kits for the entire year. Because I don't need them. I don't need any more kits. I have enough models I could probably build for the next 10 years. Especially at the slow rate I've been building. For the last year, actually since I got my new job, so 15 months-ish, something like that. I've been spending between $100 and $600 per month on Gunpla. In June, I think it was June this year, I dropped $600 on the premium Bandai perfect grade Trans Am 00 riser, the clear armor set for it, and I think in that shipment was also the P-Bandai GM Canon North American type. I think there was another high grade that came out that month, plus all the shipping, because I had to get EMS shipping on it. I dropped $600 like it was nothing on a few kits. So I figure now, if I severely limit my my buying of Gunpla, I can save that money and take 3 weeks vacation and go to Japan. You know, so if I save for a whole year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, I can go to Japan and really enjoy it. Travel from North Japan down to South Japan over a 3-week period, and you know, live my dream, because for a long time I wanted to move there, but the logistics of it just weren't in the cards for me, and that's okay. I mean, I don't think after doing a lot of research on the lifestyle of a foreigner in Japan, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't something that appealed to me anymore. But a good, 3-week vacation, that would be phenomenal, because I get to see a lot of things in that 3 weeks. So yeah, I mean, I want to focus more on actually living life. Now, Gunpla and this channel, I have the time to build kits. I just don't take the time to build kits except at work. And when I'm hanging out with my friend Matt, because I'm out there living life with friends and family throughout most of the week, and then on my day off when I just need to chill, I'm catching up on shows, I'm reading and planning things. So I don't take the time for Gunpla like I used to. And I want to get back to it because I do thoroughly enjoy the hobby. I have an airbrush system that I've had for a few years now that I've barely used. I want to get back into practicing with an airbrush, and I want to make some of these kits look really good. And with that, hopefully, comes more actual content for my YouTube channel. And I haven't decided what route I want to take with my videos. I really enjoyed the 5 videos a week format that I was doing back at the end of 2015. I had Model Monday, where I would review a kit from like 2008-ish forward. I had Tutorial Tuesday, which was that one might be difficult to get back into because I was heading into territory that I hadn't actually been in before with tutorials. I was getting into like actual modeling skills that I haven't actually practiced, which is I had done seam line removal, and next I was getting into surface prep. That was the next step for me, where you're looking at you prime the kit and you look at the contours. You make sure that the surface is level where it needs to be level, curved where it needs to be curved, etc. And then you apply putty, or you do sanding, or whatever else you need to do to level out surfaces. And then you sand it more, and you prime it, and you double check your work. You do more sanding, more putty work, whatever, and you keep doing that back and forth until the entire surface of the kit is the way you want it to be. You put on a final coat of primer, and then you can start painting. So I wanted to get into that aspect of it with my old 1/100 scale Zaku 1, which I was working on for most of those tutorials, and it's, like I said, it's uncharted territory for me. So I'm not sure exactly where Tutorial Tuesday would go. Work in Progress Wednesday, self-explanatory, show a few clips of some works in progress. Therapy Thursday I definitely want to get back to doing because I still haven't gone any further with that 3.0 Master Grade Gundam that I was doing for those videos. I've been saving it for wanting to get back to it. And then Fossil Fridays were me reviewing kits from 2008-ish back, a lot of really old kits. And I enjoyed doing that. I like the videos that I was doing because they're 5 minutes or less, roundabouts 5 minutes, and you can get there's plenty of YouTubers out there who will do a full unboxing video and then an in-depth review that lasts between 10 and 20 minutes long, and it's to me that's too much time. And I think that stems from, I've seen so many kits in person already. I've seen enough runners to know what they look like. I've seen enough kits to know how they build and how they go together. And I don't need to go over articulation in every video. That drives me nuts, because for the most part, especially with newer kits, articulation doesn't change. Like, if something is drastically hindered, or if something is exceptionally good, yeah, show it off on camera, but like basic articulation, meh, skip it. So my format of shorter, just concise, get to the point reviews I enjoyed it, and I'm hoping that other people enjoyed them as well. I mean, if you want an in-depth review, you've got Mecha Gokaitsu, you've got Prime 92, you've got Zaku Aurelius, and Type V2, and I know I'm missing a whole bunch, but there are some great in-depth reviewers out there, and I don't need to be a part of that niche. There's so many already. So I want to get back to doing those shorter reviews. The other thing that I wanted to do was something that I previewed a few years ago. A full-length 30-minute show called Happy Building, my tagline that I throw on at the end of most of my videos. And basically it would be a combination of like Mr. Wizard, Good Eats, and Japanology. If you've watched any of those shows, good for you. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Good Eats. Mr. Wizard was a show from the 80s and early 90s. Might even be older than that, I don't remember. And then Japanology is a show you can find it on YouTube. It's produced by NHK. And basically they take one aspect of Japan, Japanese culture, or just something from Japan, and they focus on it for half an hour, and it's a very well produced show. I love watching that show. They have one episode on food replicas, because a lot of restaurants in Japan, they don't just have like a menu with pictures, they have plastic replicas of the food, and they're expertly molded and painted and detailed, like it looks like real food, and you actually get to see the process of how those are made, how the airbrush work is done to make it look real. Really cool show. So I wanted to do a show like that, where I'd focus on like one part of the hobby, where it's like I take modeling cement, and the whole show is based around like the chemical composition, how it's produced, the chemical reaction with plastic, other applications you can use it besides just putting parts together, because you can do a lot of really cool stuff with cement besides just bonding parts. You can do a lot of really cool surface texturing with this kind of thing. You can just it's a lot of really cool things you can do with modeling cement that it's unconventional. So I'd have a whole show, one episode on modeling cement, and the next episode do an episode on paint chemistry. Pick either acrylic, enamel, or lacquer paint, and talk about that for an hour, or half an hour rather. And throughout the video, give little tips and facts and figures and things like that. The problem is, for one guy to film, to write, film, edit, and produce a show like that takes a lot of time, so it would have to be maybe once a month. And if I'm doing that, I don't know that I'd work on the other videos. Once I got back into the swing of things, those 5-minute videos are actually pretty easy to edit, but I haven't done it in a while, so... Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So that's where I'm at. 2018, I want to get back into modeling hardcore, and I want to get back into YouTube videos, and I want to be part of the Gunpla community more than I was before. I do comment here and there and post in a few groups on Facebook. I do have a Twitter that is a bit more active than than it used to be, just because I haven't been doing videos. I post a lot of pictures there, ask a lot of just fun little questions. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I want to get back into. I want to focus more on production of, building Gunpla, making videos, rather than trying to collect every kit ever. So I'm basically giving up on that goal, and that's fine. That's okay. That doesn't bother me anymore. Yeah. So that's life. One more thing. I am part of a podcast now. It's me and my friend George. It's called The Half Hour Nerd, where we give a brief intro. We give the topic of the episode. We set a timer for half an hour. We talk about that topic for half an hour. When the timer goes off, even if we're mid-thought, we have to stop. And then we give our outro. We've talked about so many things, and we got more things planned. Game of Thrones, there's an episode on Gunpla, an episode on the timelines of Gundam. Part 1 of Mobile Suit Gundam should be up, I think. And I didn't get to finish everything I wanted to talk about, so I am doing a part 2 pretty soon. Let's see, Game of Thrones, Gundam stuff, Star Trek, DC Comics, Community, the TV show, Kevin Smith and all of his works. We do an episode on cooking. We're doing episodic reviews of One Punch Man, because neither of us had seen it. Penny Dreadful, and The Orville. We talk about Star Wars. We talk about conspiracy theories, fan theories, Power Rangers and Xena. We've had on a few guests, and it's been a fucking amazing experience. Just being a part of this. It was my friend George's idea. He does all the editing for it. He makes all of the thumbnails for the episodes. He manages most of the social media aspect of it. I'm just there along for the ride, and I co-host, and it's been great. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, just The Half Hour Nerd. We were able to get that handle on pretty much every social media outlet. You can listen to our podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher. Just search for The Half Hour Nerd. We have a website, which would probably be your best way to keep up with us, or the Facebook page. So the website is www.thehalfhournerd.wordpress.com. Please check us out. Please give us a listen. If you are a nerd in any way, shape, or form about anything, definitely give us a like, a follow, a comment, whatever, and let us know what you think. So that's my final plug. This video is an hour and almost 20 minutes. I just wanted to give you guys an update on what's been going on with my life and where I'm at with Gundam and Gunpla. And I want to thank you for listening to me ramble for so long today. Thank you. It means a lot to me that you're still here if you are. And that's it. For real this time. Until next time, which hopefully will be sooner rather than later, happy building, and be good to each other.